investors and people who want to have value for a long time have been buying gold as a hedge against inflation, so that even if the dollar's purchasing power drops, they will not lose any wealth because the value of the gold will increase rather than reduce like fiat currencies. Along with gold, people also tend towards stocks because they give on average 15% yearly yield. But on the other hand, the exact yield must be calculated after subtracting the inflation rate from it. If the stock prices rose by 15%, then after subtracting the 7.9% inflation, the total yield you got out of the stock market will be around 7.1% only. And even though you cannot expect to always get 15% gains, S&P 500 gains on average have been around 10.2%. And if you subtract 7.9% inflation, all you gain is a 2.4% increase. Meanwhile, the yield on gold is also not quite lucrative, but at least it has been providing a hedge against inflation for a long time and is famously being used as a commodity to just store value. Hey, and welcome to Altcoin Capital. Today, we're going to talk about if crypto is a good way to save your wealth from rising inflation. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Now, let's jump right into it. Meanwhile, crypto being a new idea has now also been adopted by the investors as a commodity to store value for longer periods. Along with that, it may provide a great hedge against rising inflation, at least according to half of the US crypto investors in a recently conducted survey, which expressed that they find crypto as a great hedge against inflation. Meanwhile, inflation in the US is at its 40 years peak. People are rushing to find ways to save themselves from this rising inflation, and about half of the US investors are beignets and will start buying crypto in 2021. The majority of investors in the US may invest in crypto in terms of availing long-term potential appreciation benefits. Most people getting into crypto intend to store values. In countries where inflation rates are higher and their currencies are also depreciating against the dollar, people are tending more toward the digital assets like crypto to protect their wealth. The highest number of newbie investors was in India, with 51% of investors being newbies, and followed by Hong Kong, and also Brazil. Compared to other commodities like gold and stocks, crypto provides potentially exponential gains, and with cryptocurrency built in with proof-of-stake algorithms, you can even stake your crypto to get rewards for staking after becoming a validator in the mining process. Proof-of-stake currencies is the new big thing that is even pushing people into it because it is making people receive rewards similar to dividends or interest rates on government-issued bonds. And people are now perceiving it more positively. And the returns of a long-term investment in crypto are incomparable to any other investment. If invested for 5 years, then you can easily expect the crypto to return to you around 500% of what you did invest. Meanwhile, you would be lucky to get even 100% out if you invested in stocks after 5 years. Even if investors feel that crypto is a hedge against inflation, it is true that crypto also inflates due to the emission of new coins in the chain. Yes, this inflation will stop when cryptocurrencies will reach their limit, but this will take time, and there's nothing we can do about them. But luckily, in the case of crypto, their prices increase to a greater extent than they inflate, and for sure, they are better than fiat currency, which inflates but don't appreciate. But with further developments in other currencies, we are also witnessing a decrease in crypto inflation. For example, in the case of Ethereum, with the merger of Ethereum 2.0 by the end of this year, the inflation will drop from 4% to 0.4%, which is negligible. Other than that, should you be worried about inflation? Short answer, yes. It is the time when you should be worried about inflation. Inflation around the world is at its peak. In the US alone, inflation is at its highest in 40 years. The inflation in the US is about 7.9%, which means in a year you lost around 8% of your money just because it devalued. If you had $100,000, Then at the end of the year, you lost 8 grand. And in 10 years, you will have your $100,000 worthless if this inflation rate continues. And yes, you must not get too worried about inflation, because the inflation level will get back to normal when the oil prices around the world reduce and the following other factors get satisfied. And we can expect inflation to get back to the 2% yearly average that it has been in recent decades. But still, you need to save your wealth from 2% inflation, which is less than around 8% of today's inflation. But in 10 years, it will mean a 20% loss in your wealth. And even if you are relying on traditional investments, then you will gain 200% in 10 years by investing them into the stock market. But when it comes to the crypto market, then the returns are unexpectedly high. Now, crypto is being called digital gold for a reason. Investors don't need to worry about the rising inflation too much if they have their wealth invested in the right spot. But still, they are also getting affected by the higher inflation in the market. The retail value of expensive goods, especially in the US, decreased by 1.3%, including automobiles. And because of inflation, the growth in the prices of the stocks reduces, and other major tech stocks also get negatively affected by the inflation. Inflation also does good to move people toward commodities like gold and other value-storing assets to save their wealth, which in turn also plays a role in increasing the prices of such commodities. On the other hand, it also helps reduce the costs of borrowing, which directly helps to reduce unemployment. Inflation in the recent decades have averaged around 2% with a minimum of 0.6% in 2010. Investors might not get too worried due to inflation because at the same time, investors also face a reduction in possible profits. Will crypto save you from inflation? To understand if crypto will provide us with a hedge against inflation, we will have to briefly look at the recent gains in the cryptocurrency and inflation in that particular way accordingly. So far, news of rising inflation hasn't even seemed to affect crypto prices in general, but with inflation as high as 7.9%, we can understand that the common person is under stress and would not be investing spare money into crypto. On the other hand, we have people tending more towards crypto due to rising inflation seem to balance out the equation. If we gaze at the prices of the most prominent cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, from 2016 to 2018, the inflation remained calm during this particular time frame, and also compared to the inflation, the Bitcoin price and other cryptocurrencies skyrocketed with massive gains of 13 times. Also compared to these 1300% gains, the inflation was only at 2.1%. For this period, crypto was the best haven to dump your wealth in to store for a long time. But from the beginning of 2018 and all throughout the year, the value of the cryptocurrency significantly dropped along with the drop in the price of the Bitcoin and other currencies. The inflation rate started to rise from 2.1% to 2.4%. Then in 2019, Bitcoin prices lowered again but quickly recovered in the same year, and the inflation rate remained normal too. Then in the next stage, the Bitcoin remained rising again. From the start of 2021, for most of the time, Bitcoin remained flat and inflation remained on the rise. In fact, during the current period where the inflation is sharp, the S&P 500 even performed better than cryptocurrency. So what we can conclude is, it will not be correct to say that cryptocurrencies don't protect against inflation. Yes, they do for the period when the crypto market is not performing flat, even if it does not perform well during the inflation time, as there is always a fixed amount of coins of a currency available in the ecosystem. Then you are not worried that eventually the prices of the currency will go down forever like the price of the dollar goes. But in fact, even if it doesn't perform well in a particular year, but during a larger window of time, yes, cryptocurrencies are the winner. But make sure you actively watch your investments, no matter if they are in crypto or stock markets, because if you smell a huge dip in the market, just as we saw at the start of the global pandemic when stock markets around the world crashed, including the S&P 500, and then recovered quickly. You can connect to our channel as we will be bringing more videos that might help you save your hard-earned money through extreme dips in the crypto market by subscribing to our channel. So we were at the point that if you are putting money into crypto just for the sake of storing value, make sure you keep an eye on the market, because in the recent year, we have seen Bitcoin remaining flat for about a year-long period, and you will not like to expose your wealth to inflation and at the same time, dipping value. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to our channel for more fun. We will be back soon with another one, so click that notification bell below to stay tuned for our new videos. This is Altcoin Capital signing out. Until next time.